Vitor Belfort's story is one of raw talent, incredible triumphs, and unshakable resilience. Known as the Phenom, he burst onto the MMA scene with explosive knockouts that left fans in awe. But behind the highlight reels lies a man who faced devastating personal loss, controversy, and the relentless challenges of staying on top. From becoming a UFC champion to enduring the heartbreak of his sister's disappearance, Belfort's journey is as inspiring as it is complex. How did he balance the glory of the cage with the struggles of real life? Let's uncover the highs and lows of his remarkable career. Vitor Vieira Belfort was born on April 1st, 1977, in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Growing up in a city like Rio, he was surrounded by a culture that revered combat sports, particularly Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Belfort took to martial arts early, training in Jiu-Jitsu under Carlson Gracie, one of the legends of the discipline. By the time he was a teenager, Belfort was a prodigy. What separated Belfort from others was his striking ability. He wasn't just another grappler, he had knockout power that few could match. At the age of 19, he entered the world of MMA and made an immediate impact. His professional debut came in 1996, and in less than a minute, Belfort secured a knockout win. This explosive debut was just the beginning of what would become a legendary career. With his unique combination of raw power and refined skill, Belfort was poised to take the MMA world by storm. When Vitor Belfort entered the UFC, he was an unknown Brazilian kid with a lot to prove. That changed quickly. At UFC 12 in 1997, Belfort introduced himself to the world. He tore through two opponents in the same night, winning the heavyweight tournament at just 19 years old. His speed, power, and aggression earned him the nickname the Phenom, and it stuck. Fans were in awe. Here was a guy who could strike like a heavyweight, but move like a lightweight. It was unheard of. His performances made him an instant fan favorite and a rising star in the MMA world. Fans couldn't get enough of his electrifying style, and Belfort seemed destined for greatness. But in MMA, talent alone isn't enough. Challenges and setbacks are inevitable. This is exactly what happened with Belfort. In his fourth fight, he ran into Randy Couture, a veteran who exposed some of Belfort's inexperience. Couture used a clinch-heavy game plan to neutralize Belfort's striking and handed him his first professional loss. The loss was a reality check, but it didn't derail Belfort's career. He continued to fight high-level opponents and developed his skills. By the early 2000s, Belfort was a seasoned competitor, known for his explosive finishes and relentless style. Despite the ups and downs, Vitor Belfort's resilience kept him a force in the ever-evolving MMA landscape. And in 2004, he seized his moment of redemption. Facing Randy Couture for the UFC Light Heavyweight Championship, Belfort was out to avenge a pivotal loss earlier in his career. Couture had once exposed Belfort's inexperience, handing him a humbling defeat, but this rematch told a different story. The fight ended in bizarre and dramatic fashion, with Belfort landing a glancing punch that caused a cut on Couture's eye. The doctor declared Couture unable to continue, making Belfort the champion. It wasn't the decisive finish Belfort had dreamed of, but it was enough to avenge his loss and claim the title. This victory was a defining moment, a blend of redemption and revenge that cemented Belfort's legacy as a UFC champion. Reaching the top, however, proved just the beginning of new challenges. Even with a UFC championship around his waist, Vitor Belfort's life took a devastating turn in 2004. That same year, his younger sister, Priscilla, went missing in Brazil under mysterious circumstances. She disappeared after leaving her workplace, and despite extensive investigations and media attention, no trace of her was ever found. The tragedy sent shockwaves through Belfort's family and left a wound that would never fully heal. Priscilla's disappearance wasn't just a personal loss. It became a national story in Brazil, a country already battling issues like crime and kidnappings. Belfort and his family worked tirelessly to raise awareness and search for answers, but as the years passed, hope faded. Belfort has described the experience as one of the most painful chapters of his life, something that reshaped him both as a person and a fighter. Through it all, Belfort credits his faith for giving him strength. He turned to his Christian beliefs and relied on his family's support to navigate the grief. The tragedy revealed a deeper side of Belfort, one defined by resilience and an ability to carry on despite immense personal hardship. Now, we can't talk about Vitor Belfort without addressing the controversies. One of the most polarizing chapters of his career was his use of testosterone replacement therapy, or TRT. In the early 2010s, Belfort experienced a resurgence in his career. He was knocking out top contenders left and right, and people started noticing something. He looked like a completely different fighter. TRT was a legal practice at the time, but many argued that it gave fighters an unfair advantage. Belfort became the poster child for the TRT era, and his performances during that time, like his iconic head kick knockouts of Luke Rockhold and Dan Henderson, were both celebrated and scrutinized. When TRT was banned in 2014, Belfort's career took a noticeable downturn. Critics pointed to his post-TRT performances as evidence that the treatment had inflated his success, while his supporters argued that he was simply aging like any other fighter. Belfort wasn't just a UFC fighter. Over the years, he competed in other major promotions like Pride and Strikeforce. These stints showcased his willingness to fight anyone, anywhere, anytime. In Pride, he faced the likes of Kazushi Sakuraba, one of Japan's biggest stars. In Strikeforce, he squared off against fighters like Alistair Overeem. His career outside the UFC added layers to his legacy. Belfort wasn't a one-organization fighter. He was a global MMA competitor. As Belfort entered his late 30s and early 40s, the physical toll of decades in combat sports became apparent. The speed and power that once defined him began to fade, but his heart and determination never wavered. In 2018, Belfort announced his retirement after a loss to Lyoto Machida. The MMA world paid tribute to a fighter who had given everything to the sport. For Belfort, it wasn't the end of his journey, just the closing of one chapter. Even after retiring from MMA, Belfort wasn't done competing. In 2021, he entered the world of professional boxing and faced Evander Holyfield in a high-profile exhibition bout. While the fight was controversial for a variety of reasons, it showed that Belfort still had the competitive fire that defined his career. Beyond fighting, Belfort has also ventured into business and philanthropy. He's used his platform to promote fitness, wellness, and a positive mindset. He's spoken openly about his faith and how it's guided him through life's challenges. Vitor Belfort's impact on MMA can't be overstated. He helped popularize the sport during its early days and inspired countless fighters with his aggressive style and finishing ability. Fighters like Anderson Silva and Jose Aldo have credited Belfort as an influence. His ability to reinvent himself over the years, whether as the Phenom in the 1990s or as the TRT-fueled knockout artist of the 2010s, kept him relevant in a constantly evolving sport. Vitor Belfort's story is one of resilience, transformation, and legacy. He's been a young prodigy, a world champion, a controversial figure, and a beloved veteran. Through triumphs and tragedies, he's remained true to his passion for fighting and his belief in self-reinvention. Love him or criticize him, Vitor Belfort will always be remembered as one of the most dynamic and influential fighters in MMA history. And his story? It's far from over. That's it for today. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into the lives of MMA legends.